So Limpopo is the region with the most number of independent candidates. The province has 3 out of 6 candidates who are contesting for seats in the provincial legislature. Only 1,000 signatures were required from registered voters for the candidates to qualify. Matsobane Mokonyane from Polokwane is one of the candidates who has received enough signatures to get him on the ballot. So what does his campaign have to offer? He now joins us via Zoom. Good morning and thank you so much for making time for us.
Good morning and good morning to the viewers, and thanks for having me.
Sure. Just listening to that intro that I just read now, what do you think it is about Limpopo that's contributed the highest number of independent candidates that are vying for positions in a provincial legislature? 3 candidates in total, including yourself. What do you think, what drives the people of Limpopo to do that?
Yeah, I think the people of Limpopo, mostly in rural areas, are sick and tired of living without water, and some of them are sharing water with animals. And I think I am one of those who are prepared to bring service delivery to them.
Yeah. Geez, quite a scene that you're painting there. Drinking water with animals, and we know that water is a major problem in Limpopo. Tell us about that.
Yeah, as you know, Limpopo is a rural province, and then the vast majority of the citizens have been long neglected by the municipalities by not providing them with water, which is a non-replaceable natural element. So I think people have got the right to water, clean drinking water. They've got the right to use water for cooking and other domestic use.
Yeah. What do you think the problem then is with the water situation, considering the number of projects that have been done in Limpopo, the building of the Nandoni Dam, and then you also have, of course, the other projects in Vuwani, in that area as well, with the Giyani water project as well, that still hasn't been completed?
Yeah. Also, Mogalakwena, you forgot it.
Mm-hmm.
These areas that you have just mentioned, from the national government level, at Nandoni area, there's since been water pipes there for quite some years, people waiting for water. And then the minister who was in charge there did not do anything to attend to the problems that the communities are facing. Also in Mogalakwena, there is a river that is just some stone's throw away, but the people, they are not benefiting from that river. They are not getting water. Instead, water is being taken to Mahwelering Township as well as the town, the Mokopane town. But the people who are really next to the river did not get water. And I think that is unconstitutional.
Yeah. And another problem also that was highlighted by the former Minister of Water, Lindiwe Sisulu, was when it comes to water specifically, that some farmers are redirecting the water from the mainstream rivers into their plots and into their farms as well. And of course that then leaves residents and villages destitute.
According to my opinion, farmers, because they have got money and some of them they receive grants from the government, they must create their own boreholes so that they can they can water their plants at their farms. And then the water that is flowing through the rivers must be taken to the reservoir, must be cleaned and taken to the reservoir for human consumption.
What's your plan, speaking about farms, when it comes to employment? In that campaign document that you've shared with us, you speak about the ANC-led government created a massive unemployment rate by closing companies such as Tempest, Zebediela citrus tree plantations, and as well as the tree plantations in Zanin.
Yeah, they have created a very big mistake. They did not conduct a feasibility study before they closed the plants that I have mentioned there. Today, as I'm speaking, those people who were working at those various closed companies, they are still unemployed, and then they are relying on state grant, of which it is not appropriate for them to rely on state grant, because it is not sufficient enough to feed their families. So I'm going to open all these tea plantations, and then as well as the Zebediela citrus fruits. It must fall under the government and not under the private companies.
So you're saying that you are going to open them. How are you going to do that as an individual? You're not a political party. How much influence do you think you'll be able to have on the provincial legislature?
The taxes that we are paying and the taxes that the government is collecting from, let me say, the VATs and other taxes that they are collecting belongs to all the citizens of the country as well as the Limpopo. So they must benefit from those taxes. The fiscus, that is the money that I'm talking of. The fiscus must be equally be shared amongst the provinces, and then so that we can create those jobs.
Yeah, again, how are you going to do that as an individual? And now speaking about how National Treasury allocates funds to the various provinces and various government entities, that is a national competency. How are you going to do it as a provincial candidate vying for position in a provincial legislature that doesn't have powers when it comes to the allocation of funds in terms of how the funds should be distributed from a national level?
Yeah, that will be done in collaboration with the companies. And I'm going to do it as an independent, because I will be having an influence in the legislature. I will be participating in the preparation of budget and others. And we will be doing this in collaboration with the companies to open the closed plantations that were operating all the previous years during the apartheid regime.
Okay. What are some of the other aspects that you think that are important in Limpopo that needs focus? Is crime perhaps one of those? And now, for instance, when you speak about finances, the interesting thing is if you look at Stats SA's data, it shows that a lot of people from Limpopo migrating to Gauteng, and of course those people then contribute towards the economy of Gauteng and lots of activity that happens in Gauteng. And some people obviously do go back home to Limpopo, but Limpopo is not benefiting as much considering the money that the province would have spent in terms of making sure that the people who now live in Gauteng and contribute to Gauteng's economy have an education. When we speak about basic education, the investments in health, for instance, the clinics that are open to make sure that those people are actually healthy, and eventually once they've graduated, they decide to move to Gauteng.
Yeah, well, that one is a national competency. It's not going to be that much of my responsibility. Let me just say that it's a national competency, in short.
Okay, but do you think that's a concern for you at all, as somebody from Limpopo?
I'm highly concerned for the people who are migrating from Limpopo to other provinces, not necessarily Gauteng, other provinces.
Okay, speak to us about crime. What's your plan there? What do you think should happen?
Yeah, in terms of crime, I think if we can close the gun shops, because you cannot extinguish fire with fire. You give gun licenses to individuals. At the same time, there are unlicensed firearms that enter our country and the province. There is no way that you can control crime while at the same time that you are issuing guns to individuals. By the way, you must remember that when you, for instance, in a situation where there is an accident and someone has got a gun with himself inside the car, when that car is taken by the scrapyard people, they will never come to you and say, the owner we found a gun inside the car of Mr. Mokonyane, for instance. They may take and sell it to other people, and that is how crime will never be combated.
Okay, so when you say closing down the gun shops, do you say that guns shouldn't be sold to ordinary citizens? Is it something that you believe that only law enforcement should have?
Yes, exactly that.
Okay, and you believe that that will be able to combat crime? Because the point that you raise now, for instance, when we speak about the firearms that have been, quote-unquote, picked up, firearms that have been stolen, and sometimes even firearms that have been stolen from police officers, how do you deal with that particular element? Because police stations themselves, including police stations in Limpopo actually, have been robbed.
Yeah, well, even though that one also is a national competency, but still I think my contribution in including of gun shops and also I think if we can bring back the death sentence, this will reduce and will scare the criminals from acquiring illegal firearms.
Okay, just in closing, as we conclude the conversation, Matsobane, tell us about yourself quickly. Do you have any background in politics at all?
No, I do not have necessarily a background in politics at large. Let me say, I'm a former public servant.
You're a former public servant?
Yes, at a local government level. I've been actively involved in the implementation of council resolutions.
Okay, so not necessarily that you were a councillor, but you were just working for local government?
I was just an official.
Just an official. Okay, thank you so much.
Our duty was to implement the council resolutions.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and all the best. And let's see how you'll fare after the May 29 elections and when the election results are announced. Thank you so much. That is Matsobane Mokonyane, who's an independent candidate. And as you heard, Limpopo has the highest number of independent candidates that are vying for positions in the provincial legislature.